Okay, all the commissioners and Commissioner Sally Hayman, we are unmuted. So
Okay.
during the sound, we have 1 minute.
Okay.
So an echo. I'm hearing an echo.
Good evening, Biscayne Park. Welcome to our first Zoom meeting of our commission. Roseanne, would you call the roll, please?
Okay.
Echo.
Mayor Hopping,
Here.
Vice Mayor Tudor,
Here.
Commissioner Kennedy. Sorry, I think that I did quite unmute you.
I'm here.
Now I can hear you. Yes. Commissioner Ross,
You have her muted as well.
it shows here as unmuted. Commissioner Ross,
Present.
okay. Commissioner Samaria,
Present.
thank you.
Thank you. Everybody, please remain seated. Commissioner Samaria will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of
States of
America,
America.
to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. It is my pleasure tonight to introduce Miami-Dade County Commissioner Sally Hayman. Commissioner Hayman and her staff has been working with the village manager, emergency incident commander, and myself, the mayor, checking on updates with the county and all the procedures during the COVID-19 virus. Sally?
Okay.
Good evening. I'm happy to join you. I hope you all can hear me. And it's good to see you and be a safe distance, a social distance away, along with our constituents in Biscayne Park. So I'm glad you're all healthy. I've had the opportunity to speak to a couple of you over the last month, but especially the police chief, the manager, the mayor, and a couple of commissioners. My office, what I'd like to tell the community is my office has been isolating since March 13th. We are working, we are virtual, we are remote, and we are available. It's the same emails, it is the same phone numbers, and we're actually more accessible because the phone switched to individual staff 24/7 pretty much. Most especially to mayor and commissioner, we've been working on things beyond what is everything virus oriented. Working with the police chief on a renewal of the MOU for civil citation to make sure that you'll get revenue from tickets. Additionally, looking at surrounding areas for when businesses open up for the convenience of our residents there in Biscayne Park. Most especially 311 is the catch-all for everything about anything with the county. And of course, our services supersede all municipal services. We are gonna have a slow reduction of the executive orders. You'll start to see things slowly open up when it's sort of a hit or miss type of situation of what could we do to compel the people to practice social distancing, practice safe, healthy interaction, and open up some of the open areas for them to recreate outside, such as parks, golf courses, but not get close together. Additionally, we have a task force that is just being formed now to look at small businesses where it would afford people to have services, but not congregate. Because we watched closely what happened in Jacksonville when they opened up their beach, and it was a disaster. The last thing I want to mention to you, aside from being a phone call away for any of you as lawmakers, I truly respect and appreciate our relationship when it comes to working with you to assist the residents of Biscayne Park. But what I do want to share with you is I do have one event coming up specific to a food giveaway. It's at Reynolds Park. I am aware some of my colleagues are doing things closer. This is a produce thing, strictly vegetables, I guess some fruits also, but it's going to be Friday at Reynolds Park. The entrance is going to be on 22nd Avenue. You're the first to hear about it because we haven't publicized it yet. 9 a.m. we start distributing the food. So bring the newspaper or book because they'll line up at 7 a.m. And lastly, I hope that you all will practice social distancing and safe interaction. I have a mask when I even leave my house to walk the dog. We are not in front of this virus yet. And for any of you who look at the numbers and feel there's resolve happening, we're still opening up test sites because we need to test people. But what's unfortunate is the labs are not giving us instantaneous results. So we are like a 2-day at least delay on the information. And for all the people who unfortunately pass away at home, we have yet to determine if any of them were positive, if they weren't recorded by the health department initially. So that virus is in our everyday environment. I can't impress upon you enough. Please do not be lax. The people who care about you and you yourself who could possibly endanger others need to be protected. So please be safe and stay healthy. And thank you to the manager, the mayor, the entire commission. I am so happy to have Biscayne Park as one of the cities proudly representing you. And I'm starting to see my cities start to have virtual council meetings. So I'm gonna pop off and head to another one. I thank you so much for allowing me to go first. Have a blessed evening.
Thank you for
Thank you
coming.
very much, Sally.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Commissioner.
I request our attorney to read the resolution 2020-16.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the commission. Resolution 2020-16, a resolution of the Village Commission of the Village of Biscayne Park, Florida, adopting rules of procedure for virtual Village Commission meetings that take place during the pendency of the state of emergency declared in Governor DeSantis Executive Order 20-52, in accordance with the Governor DeSantis Executive Order 20-69, and providing for an effective date.
Okay.
Madam Mayor, this resolution is required in order to be able to implement the
It's a lot.
guidelines by the governor and by the attorney general, and to be able to have these.
But Tudo, I cannot unmute it. I cannot unmute Tudo. Look. Unmute. Doesn't obey. Oh. Oh, hold on, Mayor. Hold on. Oh, now I have to go back. Where is she? Where is she? Where is she?
Hold on. Can you click on her picture?
Ah, okay. Gotcha.
Okay.
Go ahead, Mayor. I'm sorry.
You want me to
Roseanne, please do a roll call on the resolution.
Okay.
I think there needs to be, first there needs to be a motion and a second, and then discussion.
Oh, okay. Can we
Make a
have
motion to
I'll
approve
make a
the,
motion. Go ahead, Commissioner Moss.
make a motion to approve resolution 2020-16 concerning,
I can't hear it, but I think Dan made a motion and Rox seconded it.
No, Rox is making the motion.
Commissioner Moss is making a motion.
I need
Make a motion to approve Resolution 2016 concerning the procedures for virtual meeting of the Village Commission.
And I second it.
roll call.
A roll call.
Mayor Hopper,
Commissioners,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Tudor,
Yes.
Commissioner Kennedy. Oh, I'm sorry. Commissioner Kennedy,
is
Do we have a discussion about this before we vote?
You can, if there's any.
I just have a quick question about it. It's very quick. Is this being recorded? I know Zoom records meetings. We do it for my work. Is this being recorded and accessible to residents via Zoom, or will it also be posted on YouTube in the normal way for residents to watch?
Both. If you look at the upper left-hand corner of your screen, you'll see a little icon saying recording.
Okay, but it will be uploaded onto YouTube where residents are normally used to finding videos.
Yes, and that's provided for the rules.
Okay, I vote yes.
Commissioner Ross,
Yes.
Commissioner Samaria,
yes.
motion passed 5-0.
Okay. Hopefully, we're going to keep this going smoothly. Public comments, 3 minutes. Nobody gets somebody else's 3 minutes either. So raise your hand when you want to speak. And Roseanne will recognize you for public comments.
I don't see any raised hand yet.
Can they hear me? Janie, can you hear me?
Okay, yeah, Janie's iPad raised her hand.
Okay.
I can see it.
I got it.
And Matt.
Let me unmute you.
Boyd.
Please state your name and address, please.
Okay. Janie Anderson, 11th Place and 119th Street. Just a quick question, and I apologize that it is not technically related to tonight's agenda, but since our service issues with Waste Pro actually started well over a year ago, my concern is that with you folks having to deal with this COVID-19 now, that we don't get behind the deadline for putting the RFP out like we did last year. So are you guys starting on formulating the RFP? What is the deadline? Because I think many of us in the community are hoping not to see the same problem as last year when we missed that deadline and hence had to do these extensions, and we've watched the steady deterioration of service. And again, I'm not talking the last 6 weeks. I'm talking things that started over a year ago. Thanks.
Thank you. Somebody else raise their hand?
Matt Boone. Hi.
Janie. Hi, guys. Thanks. I'm at 830 Northeast 116th Street. And we've been in the process of a review of plans for a renovation. So we've never moved into our home. And I'm curious as to what we can do for those that already have plans in process to get the process restarted, even if remotely. I'm sure as everyone appreciates, we all understand the challenges, of course, right? They're real, and there's no question about that. At the same time, realistically, we don't know how long this is going to go on. And I'm extremely unlucky. The final review of my plans, which should have been the final permits, was the day we shut the city down, right? So it's just bad luck. But I know that I have another 30 to 60 days of getting contractors and everything else lined up, even once that final approval is given. So, you know, in this situation, I think it behooves all of us to find a way, if possible, to get things that are already in process back into a review cycle, so that when we are opened up again, that business as usual can resume as quickly as possible. So that's my question, comment combined there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think
Ross, you on?
Now, Charles Ross is next.
Yeah.
You're on.
Good evening, everyone. I want to congratulate you for putting together the virtual meeting. And I want to give a big shout out to the manager, the chief, his officers, public works, the administrative staff during this crisis for the great job they've all done. The Village Comprehensive Emergency Management Plan, Resolution 2012-43, provides for the mayor to declare a state of emergency. However, the governing board remains the entire commission. My interpretation of Resolution 2012-43 is that at the first opportunity during a state of emergency, the mayor should call for a special meeting so the commission can discuss any issues that may need to be addressed. These issues may not necessarily be solely related to the state of emergency at that time. Therefore, this meeting should not have been narrowly restricted to focus on the COVID-19 issue, in my opinion. Therefore, because we have many other issues looming ahead that require planning. For example, we need to do a RFP for waste services, as Janie mentioned. The contract expired on our agreement with Waste Pro under the prior manager, and a temporary extension was entered into it by him. But because we require to maintain waste services, an additional extension was required to be executed by the current interim manager because we did not hold a special meeting. The manager was essentially forced to sign an extension without the approval of the commission. This was a policy decision that the commission should have made. So that's an example of a reason why we should have had a special meeting earlier. There's another example to do with the SID fund audit, where we stand to lose a substantial amount of money potentially if we don't get that ironed out. And I hope that we can get to that as soon as possible. I believe that extension runs out May 31st. Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I have I don't see anybody else.
Does anybody else want to speak?
Madam Clerk, has anybody sent any emails in that we can read into the record?
No, I didn't receive anything.
Okay, thank you.
So I guess we close the
Public comments is closed. I'd like to request our attorney to read Resolution 2020-17.
Are you okay?
Yeah, Resolution 2020-17, resolution of the Village Commission of the Village of Biscayne Park, Florida, ratifying the March 16, 2020 Village of Biscayne Park Declaration of State of Emergency from March 16 to April 15, 2020, and April 15, 2020 extension thereof from April 16 to April 30, 2020. The Village.
Yeah.
I can't hear the attorney. He's muted.
Sorry. It's not unmuting.
Let me try again.
Okay, sorry, Mr. Harry.
Resolution 2020-17.
It's muted.
Resolution, the Village Commission of the Village of Biscayne Park, Florida, ratifying the March 16, 2020 Village of Biscayne Park Declaration of State of Emergency from March 16 to April 15, 2020, and April 15, 2020 extension thereof from April 16 to April 30, 2020. The Village's COVID-19 Safer at Home order and pedestrian curfew order, providing for severability and providing for an effective date. Madam Mayor, I we'll defer to the manager and the chief on the components of the proposed resolution.
We ready for a motion?
He do all the time. He goes on mute for some reason.
He unmutes himself.
No. Where is the manager? Mayor's
Just
unmuted.
click on the picture
Okay.
and who you want to unmute.
You can,
Yeah, he's unmuted.
You finish that?
yes, you can either have that presentation or request a motion and a second and then discussion.
Like to make a motion? I would like somebody to make a motion.
I'll make a motion, okay, to accept resolution 2020-17, declaration of emergency extension, safe at home and
We'll
curfew.
see. I don't have sound. I don't have sound.
Yes, I have sound, Mayor.
Was there a motion made?
Yeah. The question on this, on the motion, this is until until April 30th, right? Are we extending it, or is this just going to be until April 30th? I read it's correct, right?
Right,
April 30th.
right.
Yeah, I made the motion. I need a second.
Is there a second on that? Do we have a second on that resolution? I have a feeling that you don't hear me.
Vice Mayor Tudor, I see you trying to talk and you are muted, so, but I can hear you. Maybe the
Can
sound
you hear
on
me
your side.
now?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
can hear you.
yeah,
Okay. I'll second the motion.
okay,
Roll call, please, Roseanne.
okay.
Can we have discussion?
Yeah, this discussion.
Yes. You want to discuss it?
Yes.
Okay, it's open for discussion.
I have a Commissioner Ross.
Okay, yes, a couple of points. First of all, because it is related to this, I want to start by emphasizing that the manager, the chief, and all the village staff have my sincerest gratitude for their dedication and responsiveness to public safety in this health and socioeconomic crisis caused by COVID-19. It was readily apparent that Chief Cabrera and Interim Manager Hernandez's combined years of experience came to bear in their professional approach and how they managed phased in shutdowns as were required, and the different policies that they implemented with focus for public safety. But I feel compelled to comment on the resolution and the orders attached to it, particularly in light of our recent history and events that took place under the former mayor. I think it's important that we highlight and emphasize that this village is governed by a commission of 5 elected people. And all of our documents, from the charter to the comprehensive emergency plan, call for the participation of all 5 commissioners in policy making and decision making for the village. That being said, the governor did call a statewide emergency. And I believe it might have been open-ended or for a month's period of time. However, on the 12th of March, when County Mayor Jimenez declared a countywide local emergency, his first order was for a period of 7 days. And that conforms with the requirements of Florida Statute 752, which is also cited in our village mayor's declaration of an emergency, except that first declaration was made for a period of 30 days. And I believe that that was inadvertent, but not really in conformance with our village documents and the Florida statute. And I've had discussion with our attorney on it. We may not see eye to eye, but particularly in light of our recent history, I want to reemphasize this government structure of the village and the fact that it's the 5 commissioners that set policy and respond and should be included in all aspects of decision making. Having said that, well, I should say the importance of having a 7-day period and renewals is that it gave an opportunity after that initial declaration for commissioners to have a more active participation in the policy making decisions that rolled out subsequent. And shortly after that declaration, 4 days after the initial declaration, the governor waived Florida statute requirements for in-person meeting a quorum, and that would have allowed video conferencing as we're doing today as early as, well, his waiver was signed on March 20th. So as early as a month ago, we could have been having discussions and had the commission, entire commission, participate in those policy-making decisions as we're doing today. So those are my comments. I wanted to state my position because we've come a long way from where we were a couple of months ago. And I don't want to lose that ground. I want to make sure that after we turned that page and we were working, I thought, very collegially, regretfully for a short period of time, I just want to make sure that we are going to continue in that vein and not fall back to the ways of last year. That's my comment.
Any other discussion on that?
Yes, I'd like to say something.
Go ahead, Commissioner Kennedy.
I would like to echo some of what Rock said without repeating it all for the sake of brevity here. She said it more eloquently than I will, so I'll just say that I agree with much of what she said, and I'll put it a bit different way, perhaps. There's been more information sharing in the village certainly since January, and it's a very good thing, and during this crisis that was happening as well. But there's a difference between reporting to residents and engaging with residents. There's been more reporting to. There are email blasts, and now the village is on Nextdoor. I've been in a lot of communication with people directly myself, but that's not the same as engaging with residents and the commission engaging with each other to make decisions for the village, which is my understanding of how things should be operating. So while I'm not going to complain, Ginny, that you took actions that you shouldn't have because you didn't, or that you're not permitted to, I would just encourage you to know that you have a commission here of people that are that should all be working together. And in a time of crisis, when people are scared and nervous, and really strange things are happening in the world that people have never had to deal with before, it's an opportunity for us to all come together. And I want you to know that while I respect the authority that you have as mayor, and certainly, you know, have no complaints that you do what you're allowed to do. Know that you have a commission here, and I think that some decisions may have been made better and some of the details tied up a little better had we had some better communication as a commission. So know that you're not hanging out there by yourself, Ginny. There's 5 of us here, and I'm really glad we're finally doing this meeting. Quite frankly, I think it's a month late. I think we should have had this conversation a month ago. We could have formed more of a consensus among the commission and engaged with residents. So I applaud the chief and the manager and their staff and the police force specifically with how they're handling this crisis, and specifically how we're sharing information with residents. As a resident myself, I'm still a resident, even though I'm a commissioner. I've never felt more informed as a resident outside of what I'm learning as a commissioner, which quite frankly is, you know, it's a bit much more, but not that much more, because we haven't been able to meet. But reporting information to people and engaging with them are 2 very different things. And I wish we had done this a month ago so we could hear residents and their concerns and ideas, because to do so otherwise leaves too many questions in the air and residents left asking why and why not. And I've had to answer a lot of questions about why not, and why this, why not that. We should have done this a long time ago. So let's try to move forward as a group and do this that way, so there isn't divisiveness in the community. I felt a little bit of it the past couple of weeks, and I found myself very quickly in the position of defending the village and hearing things like, oh, is this just another version of what we just got rid of? And I'm like, oh man, I did not want to hear that, and I don't want to have to defend that. So let's really try to come together as a group, and that means we have to have meetings. And I'm going to discuss that later in some other comments I'm going to make, but please let's make decisions as a group and decide when it's the right time to meet. And in my opinion, the right time to meet was a month ago. So I'm going to echo Rox in all of that. Thank you.
Any other comments? Roseanne, please do the roll call.
Okay. Mayor Halpin?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Tudor? Vice Mayor? I don't see him.
He's gone.
I don't see him on this.
Okay. Commissioner Kennedy?
Will is here. I'm looking at him. He's on the 2nd page. We have a lot of attendees and he's there.
I see him, but and he's unmuted. But
okay, I vote yes.
Commissioner Ross?
Yes.
Commissioner Samaria?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Tudor? I'm sorry, let me find out where he's.
He's no longer there.
Yep.
Okay, the next agenda item is the placement of items for the May 5th meeting.
No, we didn't discuss the 6B, 6C.
That's all going to be taken care of when the manager and the police chief speak on that. You're talking about the pedestrian curfew?
Right, pedestrian curfew, and also the extension, you know, in reference to, let's say well, I'll let the city manager, he was going to say something about the green spot that Dade County is supposed to be talking about opening up. So I'll let the city manager handle it. I thought he was, okay, let the city manager handle it. It's supposed to be something the city manager is supposed to bring to our attention in reference to, so is that going to be, that should be in its spot right here.
Madam Mayor and Commissioners, if I may, so everyone understands what we've done so far is that the actions that that Commissioner Samaria just mentioned, the safer at home order, the original declaration, all the things that have been discussed, they have now been ratified and approved. To the extent that the commission wants to hear from either the manager or the chief about the specifics of those orders, that I believe we'll get to presuming the manager and the chief are ready and we're at that point in the agenda. I'm trying to pull up the agenda. So give me a moment.
You mean the items that was approved on the resolution 2020-17?
Yeah, so in approving resolution 2020-17, you've ratified the declaration of state of emergency of March 16, 2020, the extension of that declaration, which was entered in April 15th, which now extends it to April 30th, and the safer at home emergency order of March 27th, and the pedestrian curfew of March 19th. It is up to the commission as a whole as to whether or not they want to hear any additional comment from the manager and the chief, but I do believe that will be addressed, or that both manager and the chief are going to discuss those things under item 8G and 8H.
But there's the green space, isn't it, what Bay County was going, I mean, city manager's supposed to explain about the green space.
Yeah, and I believe he's going to discuss those under the 8G matter, because that's brand new.
Right, but then the commission is going to decide, the commission will be able to vote on whether or not they want it, because like, I'll give you an example for the green
But
space.
as it's currently set up, the next item for discussion is the placement of items on the next agenda meeting. Many of you all have discussed here tonight, as well as through multiple communications with staff, of pending issues that you would like to see on the May 5th agenda, which is a week and a half from now and still scheduled to take place. And as staff, we'd like to know from the commission the priority items that you want us to discuss on the May 5th agenda.
Oh, yes. Mayor Hawkins?
Okay. Yes.
Vice Mayor Tudor is back.
Excuse me?
Vice Mayor Tudor is back. Do you want
Yes, I see that. Welcome back, Bill.
Thank you. The joys of technology.
We did
Okay.
a roll call for resolution 2020-17, and apparently we were.
What was that?
We did a roll call for resolution 2020-17.
Okay.
And you're off, and
Yep.
I need to hear your.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, that's. Okay, our next is the placement of agenda items for the May 5th meeting. My first request is the second reading of the Code Compliance Board. That's very important. And also on the agenda, the Planning and Zoning Board members' approval. Did you get that, Roseanne?
Yes.
Okay. And Commissioner Tudor.
Yes, the next agenda, I would like to see a discussion regarding Waste Pro and about some of our options that the village can take. Also, I would like for the commission to discuss the possibility of directing the finance director to conduct like a 5-year plan to see where the village is at financially, going out, 1, 3, 5 years out.
5-year financial plan?
Yes.
Okay.
Anything else?
No, those are 2 things for me.
Okay, Commissioner Kennedy.
I'm gonna let the others go first and see what they say, and then let me go last, please.
I'm sorry?
I said, let the others go first and see what they have to say, and let me go last.
Okay, Commissioner Ross?
Okay. Number one of our public comments came from Matt Bowen, who is trying to finalize his plan review so that he can proceed with his remodel. And one thing that I would like to know, if we're not get an answer for, I think we need to respond to him, and I would like to know when our building department will be back up and running, what kind of plans are in place for that, and are there more resources that we could be using from Calvin Giordano to help us support that function? And also, it's not clear to me from Matt's question whether it was an issue of having to go to the board or if it was, one of the disciplines, one of the inspectors that still needed to review his plans. But like him, I'm sure that there are many other people in that sort of mill trying to get their things moved along. And I think it's important we start working on that as well as on the code. So Mayor, I'm glad you want to see that ordinance come back for finalization. So I'll wait to hear the manager's response with regard to building, but to proceed with other agenda items, the waste collection, certainly I had that down. I also think we definitely have to move forward with some RFPs. One is the Waste Pro, or the waste collection. The other is, we're heading into hurricane season soon, and we do not have a debris removal monitoring contract, which is required by FEMA. It's the one thing that we sort of got in trouble with not being in full compliance with. So I want to make sure that we have that process, that RFP comes to us so that it could be issued. Also, not necessarily an RFP, it could be a letter of interest, but I think it's important that we move forward with the recruitment for village manager. And if we carry the two forward that we have now an interim, that would also include a village attorney. So I don't know, we don't need an RFP process, but some kind of advertisement to put out there. I would like the commission to approve, since those are two charter positions, that for the commission to review and approve what that advertisement is going to be. So I would ask staff to put something together for us for the next meeting. And thinking about hurricane season again, resolution 2019-17 is our debris removal contract with Grubbs. It's not clear to me because the final executed contract is not attached to the resolution. So it's not clear to me when it became effective or when it runs out. So I want to make sure that we're not going to run out in the middle of hurricane season with that. Also, just generally, we are way behind. We have a lot of catching up to do. So I'd like the commission to consider meeting every 2 weeks instead of once a month so that we can move some of these things along, particularly heading into budget season and the necessary economic fallout from all of what's going on today. There's a lot of for us to discuss. So I think we need to meet more frequently. That's it.
Okay, Commissioner Samari?
First off, Commissioner Ross, I agree with you. I think we should meet every 2 weeks until we can start catching up because we got a whole bunch of stuff that we have to go forward on. One is I like to bring back as a new item for the commission and whistleblower. That's number one. And number two, I want to bring back, we had this the first reading, so I want to bring it back for the second reading. Proposed ordinance 2019-06, the ordinance of the Village Commission of the Village of Biscayne Park, of the Village of Biscayne Park Code of Ordinances adopting commission rules and procedures for meetings and workshops. We had that at first reading. I'd like to have the second reading of that. Also, I'd like to have to go forward the driveway or the swale ordinance. We had the first reading. The past commission didn't want to bring that forward, and I want to bring that back for us to decide on that. And also, I not instruct, but I gave the city manager, I think was the last commission, to come back with a contract in reference to the village and the police chief. I know that the city manager can make agreements, but I like to have the police chief on the contract. And that's just the items that I would like to talk about.
Commissioner Samaria,
Yes.
can you please go back to the item that you mentioned
Yes.
before the?
Okay. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Proposed ordinance 2019-6. It's the adopting commission. Let me see, of the Village of Biscayne Park Code of Ordinance. Yeah, that's adopting of commission rules and procedures. I think we had a
Commissioner
first-
Samaria,
Yes, sir.
if I may, that item was on the agenda on the March 3rd council meeting
Okay.
for second reading, and there was an extensive discussion by the commission regarding whether or not to adopt it or not. And the consensus, as I recall, is that you directed staff to convert that into a resolution so it could be easier modified. If it is your direction, and as I understand it, we will take that ordinance, we will put it in a draft form as a resolution, and we'll have it on for the next agenda in lieu of the ordinance.
Okay, yeah, I just couldn't remember what we did at last commission meeting. Seems like it's been so far.
Yeah.
It's been far.
Okay.
And I know we had stuff for March that we had to discuss and we didn't discuss. So, but I also like to add that if we can, it doesn't have to be in the May meeting, but to bring the stuff that we had discussions for the March 16th, for us to talk about those items too. I can't remember. I don't have it in front of me what the items that we were just as a commission discussing on March 16th. They were supposed to take place in March 16th, but we didn't.
March 18, right?
March 18, yes, yes. But I definitely agree with Commissioner Ross that I think for right now, we need to have commission meetings every 2 weeks, at least for us to catch up. I don't want, because we're getting up to budget season, hurricane season, and so on.
Okay, Commissioner Kennedy?
Okay, I have a couple of things I want to add to the list, but I want to, again, echo what Rock said and what Dan agreed with, and that is having commission meetings every 2 weeks. So it's one of the things I wanted to discuss tonight, and it's really my main issue. We're so far behind, not just because we missed a couple of meetings because of this COVID emergency, but we had a couple of really sloppy months dealing with some stupidity that we had to get through, and it's all done. But the bottom line is, on May 5th, we're going to be having our first real meeting in a long time, and it's probably going to be a virtual meeting, and it's not going to be as productive as an in-person meeting would be. So I fully support the notion of meeting every 2 weeks. It was something I was going to propose. But in addition to that, I would like this commission to make a top priority of developing a 5-month action plan. Administrations often come into power and they have a 100-day plan of what they're going to do in the first 100 days or the first year plan. This has been a really strange year for Biscayne Park. We had an election and then sort of another election all in the same year. And we've had 3 new commissioners in a couple of months, and then we didn't get to meet. And we had somebody quit again this year. So September 30th is the end of our fiscal year. And I think the residents of this village deserve that we put together a plan to show them what we intend to get done between now and the end of September. And if we don't put together a plan, we're just going to tick off month after month, sort of with everyone adding agenda items and some stuff getting done and tripping over other stuff. And then a hurricane's going to come and we're going to miss another meeting and God knows what's going to happen with COVID. I think we need a plan. We need a plan to get us to the end of this fiscal year, because next fiscal year is going to look very different, possibly financially, as a result of COVID and other things going on. So I would like us to take this list of all these things, because we've now just You guys have all listed all these things to do at a meeting, and that's 3 months worth of meetings right there. We can't operate like that. That list is already too big, and I'm about to add some things to it here when I'm done with my little intro. We need a plan to get us through the end of the year, and then it's a new fiscal year and off we go again. But organizations can't exist without a plan. You can't float along and everyone throw things on an agenda and go pick up old things that were never done properly. And now let's grab this thing from 2 years ago that the last commission never did. This is no way to operate an organization if you intend to make progress. If you intend to trip along like it's a club, sure, but this is not a club. This is our local government, and residents deserve better from us. We have to do this in an organized way. So my first request is that we put together a 5-month action plan, and we see how this is going to lay out, and we set goals for ourselves to get these things done in a time-sensitive way so we can get them done. Yes, we need to meet every 2 weeks, and we need to anticipate that some of those bi-weekly meetings may not happen. A hurricane could come, another COVID change, God only knows, right? But we need to set that, we should set that schedule tonight. We should all get our calendars out right now. Like, I mean, everyone pick up your phone and let's decide on those meetings all the way through the end of September and get them on the calendar now. So on May 5th, when we meet and we look at this long list of stuff that we cannot possibly get done on May 5th via Zoom, we organize ourselves so we can get these things done in some kind of a timely way. Otherwise, I promise you, we'll be tripping over stuff and getting very little done. And it'll be done in a half-assed way at best. And that's not what I got elected to do. I did not get elected to fire a manager and to chase people out of their jobs. That's not what I intend to do when I got elected. I told people I intended to get good things done for this village, and I intend to deliver on that promise. But guys, we can't do it without a plan. We cannot do it without a plan. So I'm saying yes to a meeting every 2 weeks, and I'm requesting that we set those dates now. We have time. I got all the time in the world. The meeting's done after this. We're almost done. Get those dates on the calendar. And I want the most important thing at the May 5th meeting is to develop that action plan so we can get things done. And now I'm about to make the list longer. My list is quite long, but you guys already ticked off most of them. Hire a manager, hire an attorney, fill the code board, get that enforcement ordinance done with the tweaks that John's working on. We've got a 2021 budget we have to do. We've got to set a tax rate. We have a mess with CITT. No one brought that up, so that's my first new item. We don't know where we stand on that. I've had lots of conversations with David, and I feel like he's gotten more done on that in the couple of months that he's been the manager in the middle of a crisis than whatever else the previous administration got done. But I don't have clarity on it, and I don't think anybody in this village has clarity on where we stand on that. Here's the one thing I know for sure. They're coming and asking for their money back. That's the one thing we all know for sure. They have their hands out saying, give me back my money. We've got to clean that up. We've got to find out what the truth is. If the truth is ugly, we have to know. And we've got to get past that because that could affect us financially in a very significant way. We've got to know. The truth may be a scary thing that we're not going to want to see held up in front of our face, but we need to know. And we need to know fast because they want their money back. Waste Pro is covered. We've got to get that situation taken care of. That is an absolute must get done. We still owe Gray Robinson money, and we never had a conversation about those invoices, and I think people have some questions. Ginny added something on a couple of months ago. We never got around to discussing commissioner compensation. That's something that you can add to the list. I think that's going to be a very quick conversation. We should get Ginny's item done. David needs to discuss the FEMA flood plan update. I've had a bunch of residents asking me about that, and we need answers on that. Same with the 6th Avenue development. I don't know if that's going to all be put on hold. If it is, great, then we can hold on that conversation as well. And then the last one that I want to add to the list is a big one. This village does not have a comprehensive communications plan. And several years ago during Hurricane Irma, it became painfully obvious that we fail miserably at communications. Here we are 2.5 years later in the middle of a global pandemic, and it became very apparent again that our communication is not nearly where it should be. I'm going to take this opportunity to give major praise to Louis, the chief, and David, the manager, for doing a bang-up job in just about everything they've done here. They haven't done this before. Maybe they had some emergency management training in the past in their careers. They weren't trained for this, and they did a great job, including upping the level of communication, reporting, information sharing. They increased it significantly, and it's the one thing that residents are singing our praises about right now. I'm hearing things like, I have never been so informed in all my decades of living in Biscayne Park. That's David and Louis. Chief, listen to some ideas from me, and I'm assuming some of the others in this conversation. But we can't just be tripping into things like that. We need a comprehensive communications plan. We need that every day. But particularly during a crisis, we need to be flawless about that. And we don't have a plan. We need a plan. So I would like a comprehensive communications plan added to the list. That's it. Thank you.
Commissioner Kennedy, can you please summarize your items?
You might want to just watch that recording. Comprehensive communications plan. You mean the items I want to add? A plan, an action plan. An action plan.
Yes, I have it.
Action plan. Okay. Then the items that I added that are new are CITT mess. Not the official name for it, but that's what I'm calling it. Gray Robinson invoices, commissioner compensation, the FEMA flood plan update.
Hold on. Commissioner compensation.
Comprehensive communications plan. And the FEMA flood plan update.
Okay. Thank you.
So comprehensive communications plan. I mentioned 6th Avenue. I think you're going to find out that that's kind of put on the back burner anyway, but we should put it on there just in case. I don't want to be caught off guard with the state doing something that we're not aware of. FEMA flood plan, commissioner compensation, Gray Robinson invoices, CITT, and that's that.
CITT also. Okay.
Okay.
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I just wanted to, Attorney, I think we need to find out with, you know, if we're going to be having our commission meetings, we do still have to follow under the sunshine rule, but if we're going to be having items to voting. So having the Zoom is a great idea, but we still have to meet at the log cabin to have the quorum. I don't think the governor
The May 5th meeting will be on Zoom, it looks like. If something miraculous happens, we can change that, but.
No, all the meetings should be on Zoom. That's the whole purpose of doing a Zoom. But that doesn't stop us from our commission meetings. We have to have the quorum for voting. You can't just have where people are going to be meeting in different locations and then that counts as voting.
Yes, you can.
No, you can't.
Well, I will provide you with a copy of the governor's order and the corresponding attorney general opinion that specifically waive that requirement and allow us to establish a quorum by virtual meeting. The governor's order allowing for these types of meetings specifically waives that requirement.
Yes, and it doesn't say for how long. But it
For
means
as long as
forever. That means for.
We don't know how long.
No. For however long that particular order is in effect, it waives it and allows us to meet and have a quorum by virtual meetings. When that executive order lapses or is otherwise rescinded by the governor, then we will have to revert back to the in-person quorum requirement at that point in time. But until that happens, we are able to meet legally through Zoom, and you all can legally vote and take binding action in the absence of a physical quorum at the log cabin.
That's not how I read it and had other people read it. But I mean, I like for us to get it. I want to be sure because I don't want to have us vote on items and then somebody comes back later on, files a lawsuit and says you wasn't supposed to do that.
Well, I appreciate your concern. Let me tell you that after the governor issued the executive order, I spent close to an hour speaking to one of the individuals that was the primary drafter of that executive order and the corresponding Attorney General opinion. She is the state Attorney General specialist on sunshine law requirements and compliance, as well as public records law and compliance. And she and I had a 50-minute conversation regarding these issues. And I believe, or I know that as a result of that conversation, I then forwarded emails to each and every one of you about those conversations. It was made very clear to me by her that adopting these procedures that we've already done and complying with them do meet the requirements of the executive order and do allow us to have virtual meetings where you all can take actions that bind the commission in the absence of physical quorum at the log cabin or anywhere else that you may decide to meet. We can meet the requirements of the statute for having a quorum by conducting these meetings in the virtual environment.
So if the governor undeclares the state of emergency, then it doesn't follow. You have to go back to the old sunshine, right? Because that was done under the emergency. He declared emergency.
What the declared emergency order specifically says, and I'm paraphrasing, is it suspends and waives the requirement of the physical quorum that the Attorney General had previously applied to all sunshine law meetings. So you can meet and can establish a quorum for a binding meeting in the absence of all three of you being physically present in one location.
In one location, not on. If people can be at their home, that's not counted as one location.
I may through the chair.
Commissioner Ross?
I don't mean to interrupt, but I just wanted to maybe bring some clarity. The governor's initial executive order declaring the health emergency, which was Executive Order 20-52, has an expiration. It is effective until May. The order waiving the in-person requirement for sunshine law is a separate order. So, John, I think what Dan Samari is saying, Commissioner Samari is saying is, if that second order is dependent on the health emergency, once the first order lapses, does that somehow close the window for these kinds of meetings?
Yes, unless he extends the emergency order. They run concurrent with each other, and as we speak, if you all, I'm going to pull up the particular executive order. I'm sorry I don't have it, but I'm looking for it right now. And
26-9.
I'm sorry.
26-9. The governor executive order 26-9 regarding the CMT meeting.
Correct.
Okay, we finished on that?
One thing I want to make a comment. Commissioner Kennedy,
we need an approval of the items placed on the agenda.
I believe the manager wants to speak, Mayor.
I think the manager.
One thing.
Down further.
Right.
Yes. One thing that Commissioner Kennedy mentioned on Northeast 6th Avenue. and I just want to make it clear, the DOT is continuing their design, and they should have 60% plans this coming few weeks, and they still are in the process of to do the implementation, but they need to bring it in front of the commission. So all I'm saying is that Northeast 6th Avenue has continued their design.
Let's make sure that gets on the agenda there for the next couple of months.
Madam Mayor?
We
if I
need an
may.
approval
We don't need
for
to
the
approve.
items that are going to be on the agenda for May 5th.
No, we don't need approval.
Is
for
there
that.
a motion for that?
We might.
Madam
I
Mayor,
don't
we don't
believe
need to have a motion.
we've gone through that process, but I'm happy to
We
make
don't
a
need a
motion.
motion.
All those items on May 5th. And at that meeting, the first plan, I agree with Commissioner Kennedy that at that meeting, we need to prioritize them. And part of that will be the action plan for what are we going to get accomplished in the next 5 months.
Thank you, Rox.
Are we going to get an approval for the items on the May 5th agenda?
I make a motion to approve the items that were enumerated by the commission for the May 5th agenda.
I'll second it.
Okay, roll call, Roseanne?
Mayor Halpy,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Tudor,
Yes.
Commissioner Kennedy,
Yes.
Commissioner Ross,
Yes.
Commissioner Samaria.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to have reports, and the first report is going to be from our village attorney, John Herron.
Madam Mayor, we were supposed to have the attorney. He was talking about the item that I brought up. We haven't finished that discussion yet.
Correct, and I'll mention that now. So I have in front of me the executive order 20-69 of the executed by Governor DeSantis, and as I suspected, it does run in concurrent with executive order 20-52, and it very specifically says, as governor of Florida, by virtue of the authority vested in me by Article 4, Section 1A of the Florida Constitution, Chapter 252 Florida statutes, and all other applicable laws, promulgate the following executive order to take immediate effect. I hereby suspend any Florida statute that requires a quorum to be present in person or require a local government body to meet at a specific public place. Number 2, or Section 2, local government bodies may utilize communication media technology such as telephonic and video conferencing as provided in Section 12054 5B2 Florida statutes. Section 3, this executive order does not waive any other requirements under the Florida Constitution and the Florida's Government and Sunshine Law, including Chapter 286 Florida statutes. Not least, this executive order shall expire at the expiration of Executive Order 20-52. So unless the governor extends Executive Order 20-52 prior to the end of this month, we will be meeting in person at the log cabin for the March 5th meeting. If he extends Executive Order 20-52 or extends 20-69, we can continue to meet through Zoom, the Zoom platform.
Just for clarification, looking at the governor's order 20-52, the last line of it says, this executive order shall expire 60 days from the date unless extended, and it's dated May 9th. So I think that is going to still be valid until May 8th.
March 9th.
Okay. All right. I don't know the date. I thought it expired at the end of the month, but I stand corrected. So unless things change and you otherwise rescinds Executive Order 20-52, at a bare minimum, the meeting on May 5th will be or can be conducted through the Zoom platform. That's
May I ask
Okay,
a related question about that? May I ask a related question about that? May I ask a somewhat related question about that? Put these on so I
Go
can
ahead, Commissioner Kennedy.
Assuming that when we do start meeting at the log cabin, I'm assuming someone's already worked on a plan of how the room will be set up differently or whatever different measures we'll need to take. Is that being undertaken?
I don't even think that's in the near future, so I don't think anybody, we of course know about spacing, but I don't think that's an issue right now.
You could also have it at the you could also have it at the rec center. That's big enough.
I don't think it ever hurts to look ahead and plan for all the different scenarios, and I'm not certain anyone knows what's likely to happen or not, but okay, just trying to look ahead a little bit.
Okay, Ms. Attorney Herron, are you going to give a report, or was that your report?
That was it. I don't. I mean, certainly we will be in a position to address all of the from legal to address all of the items listed by the commission for the May 5th meeting, and I'm available by email or phone as always to answer any questions that the commissioners may have during these rather trying times that we're going through.
Okay. Reports. The state of emergency is extended to April 30th, but Mayor Carlos Jimenez is talking about opening up green spaces as of May 1st. Should we extend our state of emergency to May 5th so we can decide if we open the park, the tot lot, basketball courts, and baseball fields? What is your opinion on that? Shall we extend it to the May 5th?
Madam Mayor? Madam Mayor?
Commissioner Samara?
Yeah. As far as the tot lot, I think we should keep it closed. The basketball court, I think we should keep it closed. And the rec center, I think we should keep it closed. And I think we should leave it up to the city, well, get the opinions of the city manager and the police chief on when we can open that up. We can open up the field area.
If we extend it to May 5th, the state of emergency, we can discuss this at May 5th and see what the lay of the land is.
Okay, I have no problem with that, yeah.
Anybody else have an opinion on that?
Chief, you want, you have sound.
I strongly recommend that your emergency incident commander, that we monitor, we assess, and we make determination according to the needs and the issues that are related to our village. Remember, the county is a different entity, a much larger entity, and they have the ability to select, choose, and look at their parks in a different manner. Some of their parks may have more spacing. They may choose to choose one park over another park because of specifics that will not allow for contamination. I strongly believe that before we move into the phase of opening parks, where we can probably have the same scenario we had on the beach in Jacksonville, we should have a discussion, but not. I don't believe this is the time. May 5th is not, or looking at Mayor Jimenez's considerations, is not the appropriate timeline.
And we extend the state of emergency to May 5th. If you agree with that, I need a motion on that.
I'd like to make a comment about that, please. I'm going to say yes, let's wait until May 5th to have that conversation. But I would like to know that that conversation will be had with the full commission before any decisions are being made about when to open any public spaces or anything.
That's why I'm bringing it up now. That we'll discuss that May 5th, see what's going on.
I know, and I'm saying If it happens after that, I want to make sure that no decisions are made about reopening anything in this village that's limited now without this full commission being involved in that conversation, whether it happens on May 5th or later. I just would like the entire commission involved in that conversation, including the details of how it rolled out. I'm just going to say this. When some things were getting closed, I wanted them closed earlier, and I didn't have the chance to say that out loud to anybody, to the other commissioners and to the public publicly. I made my opinions very clear to the chief and to David. And when things were getting closed, I had opinions about how they should get closed. And all of that was not done initially, and it happened in fits and starts, and it really wasn't the way I would have preferred things to be done. I don't get to make those decisions, but I should have my voice heard about those decisions. So all I'm saying is,
are you making a motion to extend it to May 5th?
I will make a motion to extend it to May 5th, but I also want to make clear that my desire is that no further decisions like that are made outside of a commission meeting. If things need to be done, a meeting needs to be called, and we need to have this conversation. This meeting went exceptionally well. I'm really surprised it went this well. I'm very pleased.
Do we have a second on that motion?
Mayor, let me just clarify some points. In no way, shape, or form am I advocating. I'm actually saying the opposite. Maybe I wasn't understood clearly. I was saying that I do not recommend that we open parks or anything at this point, comparing us to the county. I specifically said that we should meet, have a discussion about the matter, whether it's May 1st, May 5th, or December 25th. It's irrelevant. It's when we think is best for the village. Second, I want to make it crystal clear because I don't want to create, some false perceptions.
Okay, do we have a...
Wait, no, just let him finish speaking.
Need a second on that motion?
Madam Mayor, the chief has not finished speaking. Let him finish speaking first.
But we have a motion on the table. We have a motion on the table. We should have a second before we.
Okay, I'll make a second motion. Okay, I'll make a second.
Okay, do we need a roll call on this, Roseanne?
Finish.
Discussion.
Yeah.
Discussion.
Let's have the discussion. Let the chief speak.
The motion is to extend the emergency order to May 5th.
May 5th.
Right, now the chief can finish his discussion. Comments, please.
I'm done with the discussion. Thank you.
Do we have a roll call, Roseanne?
Okay. Mayor Hopkins?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Tudor?
Yes.
Commissioner Kennedy?
Yes.
Commissioner Ross?
Yes.
Commissioner Samaria?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, on reports, the next person is Commissioner Tudor. Do you have a report to make?
No, I don't actually have a report to make. I do just want to make a quick statement. I want to thank the residents who have been heeding the orders from the governor and from the village to stay at home, only travel for essential purposes. And I really want to thank the chief and the manager for all the work they've done during this pandemic. They have my full support. I think that going forward, we should follow what we have in our emergency management plan. The manager and the chief, this is your show to run. I personally don't feel that for every decision, you need to gather the 5 commissioners for us to bless it. So the work you've done so far, I appreciate it, and you have my full support.
Thank you. Commissioner Kennedy.
I want to say that you guys have my full support as well. I'm very pleased on how things were going. I think Roseanne's been doing a great job as well. I want to make sure she's singled out, but I'm also going to say that commissioners have a function in this as well. And I don't want to sit here and just assume everything's being done as well as it could be and that everything's hunky-dory and under control. I like to be informed. I like to have my opinions heard. I like to have residents heard sometimes. And I think there is real power in more people being involved. I'm not saying I have to make all these decisions. I'm just saying commissioners have a function, and you can shake your head no all you like, but that's
And
my
I will.
opinion on it. Okay, we continue doing it. You're very good at saying no. You're very good at saying no, Will.
You know, Commissioner Kennedy, you
Excuse me,
can't,
Commissioner
you
Ross,
can't try to
do you have a
control
report?
every action.
So
Don't have-
am I being called on to speak now?
Yes.
Thank you. I'd like to take my time. I mean, I've already thanked the chief and the interim manager. I think they've done an excellent job managing. My one reservation is I felt a little bit out of touch and sometimes only received information as everyone else was receiving it in the village blast. I'm not saying that, certainly they are the experts in certainly the chief is the expert in emergency management, having been through that with Miami Police Department. And I would not impose my opinion over his, but there is a role to be played by the commissioner. That wasn't the reason what I wanted to say initially, but I just had to get that out there. With regard to my report, it's more of if you would indulge me in picking out some dates for the next commission meeting. And so the next one is absolutely May 5th. Does anyone have an objection to starting that at 6 o'clock instead of 7 o'clock? And one reason why I say it is because our staff is really overworked and overtaxed. And when we have these commission meetings and they have to stay with us later, they have to be here the next day, you know, to do their day function. So if we can start meetings earlier, I think it's a little bit easier on the staff, just like a nod and say, we appreciate all you're doing. And we're going to try not to keep you out of your home so late at night.
Does anybody have an objection to starting the meeting at 6?
I'll be unable to start the meeting at 6 o'clock. I'm on the schedule with my job until 6:30.
Okay, can we start the meeting at 6:30? Any objections?
Is that a change for this one meeting, or are you suggesting that ongoing?
One meeting, May 5th.
To start.
So everybody agrees to May 5th being started at 6:30?
So should I make a motion that we start May 5th at 6:30?
I second it.
Okay. All approve?
Aye.
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 Next, can we pick another meeting day 2 weeks later? And now we're not sure at this point whether the governor's going to extend our authority to meet like this, or we have to make some arrangement. And we'll let staff kind of figure out the logistics of that. Certainly would like for someone to contact me with my ideas about it. It could be, if it's at the log cabin, we need to maybe make sure that we have proper spacing, limit the number of people in, perhaps broadcast it out so that people could sit outside and listen to what's going on, or have it at the rec center, which is a bigger space.
I think we should decide on the meeting at May 5th when setting a date for the following meeting.
I would prefer that we look ahead and set dates now. If we're going to discuss having meetings every 2 weeks, which it sounds like 3 of us support, right? Dan, Rox, and I all sort of voice the same thing.
Commissioner Ross is still on. This is her report.
Okay, so if you would indulge me in setting a meeting May 19th, let's look at our calendars and see if May 19th is good. I'd like to keep it on Tuesdays because that's sort of our regular meeting day, and people are used to the commission meetings being on Tuesdays.
I don't have a problem with the 19th.
Neither do I.
No problem.
Yeah, I don't know yet until I check with my work schedule.
Okay. You'll let Roseanne know.
So
Yeah, I'll let Roseanne know.
Can we tentatively set that May 19th? And, you know.
I have no problem with that. And Commissioner Tudor will let us know if that's okay with him also.
And then we could always change it up to May 5th if we have to.
Right.
Right, but on May 5th, can we come prepared with like rolling dates?
Yes, I agree.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Commissioner Samaria, this is
Uh,
your report.
Okay, I'll bring a flyer at the May 5th meeting, but I'm just gonna give an idea on what I wanted to do. Georgetown was a student at Georgetown had an idea to say thank you to the first responders and medical providers. What they had is they had signs that were made that said, basically says, I don't know if you can see it, but it just says, thank you, first responders, medical providers, and or other workers. What they did is they had these lawn signs, and they had it to where people, and he made it into a fundraiser. So I'm going to talk to the foundation and see if we can do it. But I think we need to show the first responders by saying thank you. And I've spoken to residents about doing these lawn signs, and they thought it would be a good idea. And we can make it into a fundraiser, and this commission and the foundation can decide where the money should go to. I think that if anything, I'm going to be starting off through my company. I'm having 100 signs that are being made up, and it's going to be from May 1st to July for 2 months, to where it'd be almost like a fundraising. And basically, hopefully we can get everybody in the village of Biscayne Park that would want to say thank you to our first responders, because I think they have done a fantastic job here in Biscayne Park and also at the hospital and so on. So that's just one of the ideas that I have, but I'll give it to the commission. You'll get much better flies, but this came up with this last night. As far as, I think that I really want to say, and I did it in my video when I spoke with the city manager. I did my, the first video, and I expressed felt about the administration and the police chief. But I think they have done, like the rest of the commissioners, I think they have done a fantastic job. Public Works still did the mowing, the grass, trimming of the trees, fixing the roads. The police chief actually, the police department did what it's supposed to do. We had, as the police chief says many times, we had crime now. I expected with this virus being out that we were going to have a lot of problems. And this administration so far, and the city manager and the chief have my full support, is that they have done a fantastic job of keeping the village and the commission informed of what's going on. And so I just wanted to say again to both of them and to the administration and staff, thank you for what you have done for us, and please continue to keep us informed of what's going on, as you've already done in the past.
Thank you, Commissioner Samari. Our village manager will now give his report.
Yes, I just want to touch base on a lot of things. I know we just strictly about COVID, but first and foremost, I wanted to say that way before the state of emergency, local state of emergency declared, I had a meeting with the mayor, our mayor, and with the different city managers, and it was well seen from the beginning that we were going into a pandemic way before March 16th. And what I wanted to let everybody know that what I did was I created an account code so we could keep track of all our expenditures in reference to COVID. As of today, we spent about 11,000 out of the city budget. But I want to also say that I've ordered some more things, protective gear, and I do want to thank Commissioner Tudor in reference to we ordered more masks, and what I plan to do is when I receive those masks, is we're getting about 3,000, and I want to work with the police chief to give them out to the residents, as much as we can when we finally do open up green space. Because eventually, as we open up green space, I think that the more we're protected in reference to the residents, the better we're going to be. I also want to say that, yes, we've done a lot of communication. Nextdoor, I've been posting things on Nextdoor. I've also posted a lot of communication in the webpage. And I've tried to get the word out of where we at in a very fluid situation. Obviously, this is changing. And it's very difficult to keep up. But I try to do the best I can. And I want to give thanks to my staff, specifically the commander and Sandy Roman, who's been extremely helpful, who's gone out way out of their way. I also want to thank Sally Heyman, who's kind of bridged a lot of the village with the county. I also want to let everybody know that I've been constant communication, many meetings with different city managers, and obviously get their perspective and what they're going through and how they're making their decisions. So I've gotten a lot of input from different city managers. I've also gotten a lot of input from the county's EOC on a daily basis. So communication has been open in every aspect of other emergency management departments, from the state, from the county level, as well as other managers. And I want to say that my idea from the beginning, I wanted to keep the essential services going. And I think that we still have essential services. We've kept public works open. We've kept the police out there vigilantly. And we've also had Waste Pro, even though our service hasn't been great, but I do have to admit that because of the safer at home policy, we've increased about 30 to 35% more waste out there. So it's been a difficult task, but I do want to say that I do want to thank my staff, because without the staff, I couldn't start. So saying that, I will keep you updated. I will keep the community updated. I will keep the residents updated in reference to how we move forward. So that's all I want to say for now. And I want to thank each and every commissioner who's, that we're all on this together. Thank you.
Through the chair, if I may, Mayor O'Halpern, we had a member of the public ask a question during public comment with regard to building. And I hope the manager would give us some kind of response about maybe not that situation in particular. You may not have the details, but when can we expect a building to be open, as it is an essential service? And if we need additional support from the outsourced building official and inspectors, do you need our authority? Do you feel like you need our permission to go ahead and procure those? It's important. These things.
I would assume that that David will be in touch with that resident tomorrow to discuss.
And to answer the commissioner, I'm working on a plan to try to get inspections back to normal.
I'm sorry?
If we could talk offline tomorrow or the next day to see how we could move this forward, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Through the chair,
Yes.
Madam Mayor. City Manager, I just want to be sure I understand. In reference to Zoom, we are going to continue to do Zoom even when we start having commission meetings, right? We're not just having these particular time during this crisis. We are going to continue to use Zoom on a regular basis for commission meetings. Am I correct to understand that?
As I understand the attorney, that is, yeah, we are going to be working through Zoom until we get out of this crisis. But once we go back to normal, hoping that it's normal, and we can go back to the log cabin, that's the whole idea. But we're still working, right? As of now, what the attorney said is, yeah, we're going to be probably doing Zoom meetings. But I would defer that question to the attorney.
Commissioner Samaria,
with the Zoom, I think that like when I did the Zoom, the whole purpose of the Zoom was for the residents to be able to see meetings that they can't participate. there is no reason why we can't continue that after this is over. I mean, this is over. The whole purpose of when I brought the idea of the Zoom to the city manager was to do that, to where it's done, not just during this crisis, but during the regular commission meetings forever. I mean, the only reason Zoom didn't work, I mean, the Zoom was working when I did it, was I just didn't get the support of the administration in doing a Zoom. But I did have response that people liked the idea of doing a Zoom. So I think that's something that we can continue, should be able to continue. We shouldn't stop just because the crisis is over. I mean, if that's the case,
there's no intent to stop Zoom from expressing to the residents so they can listen. The idea is to keep it open.
right, to keep the Zoom going as the commission meetings go forward, correct?
Correct. I understand what you're asking is, can we continue to use Zoom as a live streaming system in lieu of having a link on our web page or something like that, so those who can't attend can see them in the meeting as it's taking place?
Yes, because since the village will be running Zoom, we'll be able to do a lot more stuff that I was able to do as a private citizen. So I think it will be a success. And there is, for all those people that think that Zoom has been hacked and all of that, I've spoken to Zoom, and a lot of it can be controlled by us as far as public comments, what people are saying. So Zoom does work. And I would like to continue doing this. That's the whole purpose of why I did Zoom in the first place.
I understand, but I think the distinction is that it would be only an outbound streaming video, not available for people to log in and ask to make comment.
No, they will be watching the video, logging just like they're watching now. And the public comment, they can leave emails. The public comment can be controlled by our administration, but there's no reason why we can't continue to do Zoom throughout the whole process. I don't understand, when I brought this to the city manager's attention, I didn't bring this to, I was doing Zoom, and I was going to continue to do Zoom, but I felt it was better to turn the Zoom over to the village because it would get a lot more support. If the village is not going to do Zoom, then I'm going to continue to do Zoom on my own, because I think that that's something that the residents that can't make meetings. I mean, I'm looking at participations, 22 participations tonight, 22. I mean, to me, that is fantastic. And if with the village controlling it, meaning the village running it, now the village has its own account, we will get a lot more participation from people. Again, mine, when I did it, we didn't have participation because I had the past administration fight me on it. They didn't want me to have to do the Zoom.
Okay, you can bring that up on the May 5th meeting.
Yeah, because there are some inherent limitations in the Zoom platform that I've shared with each commissioner via email, particularly as it relates to public hearings and quasi-judicial items, that it does not lend itself to the type of hearing and participation that the courts here in Florida have deemed is the minimum in order to comply with due process.
There are 6 other cities that use Zoom, 6 other cities, and they run their commission meetings on it. So that's another discussion, because like I said, if the village doesn't want to do this, I will continue to do the Zoom.
Look, we'll do whatever, as administration, as a member of administration, I will do and work with staff to whatever the policy direction of the commission. And I'll leave it at that.
Let me know when I say something here, please.
Yes, I like to hear.
Mr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Please
Very briefly?
Please call me Mac, and when I speak, I'll take the time that I need to make my point. Thank you. This would fall under comprehensive communications plan. So one of the things I want to discuss, and this is certainly something that should be discussed, because this is not the time for it tonight. I understand what Dan is saying, but we need to determine what's allowed and how that fits into a comprehensive communications plan, not a la carte. Was that short enough, Ginny?
Yes, thank you. Okay, Chief Cabrera, your report, please.
Well, I just basically want to thank everyone for cooperating and assisting during this extremely difficult time. As we know, it's unknown when this is gonna, when we're gonna get an all clear or when this is gonna be over. And then we're gonna be facing hurricane season. So then we're gonna have our challenges then. And then, as everyone knows, we heard the news the last 2 or 3 days, they're looking at this virus coming back in another form during the winter months. So we're going to be facing a lot of challenges besides in emergency management, besides, the other issues that were discussed tonight. But I think the message that I've been putting out, that you're not alone, we're here with you, it's strong, because tonight we're seeing that we're all here together, we're a team, we're a united front. Sometimes we agree, sometimes we disagree, but at the end of the day, we're gonna be here for each other, we're gonna stand by each other, help each other. And I think it's the big difference, there's a big difference now from maybe how we saw things in the past. So I when approached by the commissioners or by residents, I always look at things as how, have the discussions, how we're gonna do this better. So the commissioners have been extremely supportive. The residents have been supportive. There's challenges that we've had to address, and at the end of the day, we've addressed them. And I wanna thank everybody from the bottom of my heart for supporting us, for standing by, and for uniting, because this has been really hard. I mean, unexpected. I had to run out, find gear for police officers. I had residents like Judy, Raymond, and everybody, Bob, Barbara, everybody had their doors open and wanted to help out in whichever way we can. Janie, everybody, and it's been a team effort, and for that I thank you. I do want to say one thing, so everybody understands. Emergency management, and I've said this a couple of times, is in phases. There were decisions that I made or recommendations. Actually, let me walk that back. Recommendations I made to the manager on, hey, I think we need to implement some sort of curfew, before a lot of cities even did it, because I started looking at patterns and what was happening in other areas. And I wanted to make sure that, number one, we minimized the amount of people we had in the streets. And number two, that our residents were safe. That means at night, that the people that were congregating in the village were residents, and we weren't gonna have crime issues. And we imposed the curfew early, I think a lot earlier than other places. And I think that has shown to be a total success. We've had, and I don't want to praise because it turns back, we've had no issues relating to crime. We will continue that practice until it's deemed that it's no longer needed, obviously. Just with the park, initially we closed a portion of the park, then we removed basketball courts, the nets, because the youths were still playing at the park, and then we went to the toddler park and a full closure. And it's been challenging. It's been challenging, but in emergency management, you have to, and I plead, allow those that are doing that portion of it to be able to recommend, to engage, and to be able to make decisions. I know there's decisions that have to be brought up in front of the commission and so policy can be set, and the residents informed. But there are times where, and especially at the beginning, at the very beginning, and decisions were made because we needed to take control of this situation. It was critical, it was urgent, and it was about saving life and protecting health and safety. I agree with Commissioner Kennedy that, you know, we need to bring things up in front of the commission, discuss them, and be open to and allow the public to participate and partake. So I've never been against that. Actually, it takes a lot of the pressure off me, the stress, and the fact that I have less liability because, you know, the decision was not solely mine. It was not solely mine. But having said that, you know, please understand that the decisions that were made early on the onset, and I talked to the manager, and the commissioners, and the mayors. I needed time. There was time that was needed to get this under control, and we did it. We did it. We actually have done it. The residents are amazing. They walk. They keep social distance. They're respectful. I mean, the word got out. The videos got out. Commissioners were recommended get on Nextdoor. We did the Nextdoor thing. Another commissioner recommended start working on that list for the needy and the elderly, and assisted us. Another commissioner said, "Hey, why don't we get masks for residents?" You know, so it was daunting. It's exhausting. It's been a lot of pressure, but I can report so far we've had lives have not been put at risk. I'll leave it like that. We get a list, and let me just reiterate that. I get a list, a weekly list from the CDC of the areas that officers need to wear their protective equipment, and they do when they respond to these locations. And if we do need to respond to your home because there is an issue, we'll be able to go now because we have that equipment, just like the fire department. So we've come a long way for a place that had, when I got here, maybe 5, 6 officers. You have a workforce of about 13 or 14 full-time and I don't know, over 20 something reserves. You know, you have a good 40 something officers. And we're working day in and day out to ensure that we all make it out of this. So, you know, you are our number one priority is our residents, and I thank all the commissioners. And that's all I got to say. Good night.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you very much. Do we have a motion for an adjournment?
I make a motion to adjourn until May 5th.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Meeting is adjourned.
8:47. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank
Stay
you.
safe.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you.
Commissioner
See
Roth,
you May 5th at 6:30.
Yes.
How do you?
Is that the only announcement? Usually we have village clerk give us announcements.
Yeah, but we don't know when the next meeting is gonna happen, so we can.
May 5th.
Yeah, just the next.
May 19.
Yes,
May 19.
exactly.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.